Morning, everyone, and welcome again to this 2025 edition of the Purple Global Summit. That's a pleasure for me to be this moderator on the Executive Council keynote. It will be an operators roundtable. So to set the scene a little bit, it's been the fourth year that I attend the Purple Summit. In 2022, I'd rather say it was the year of the conviction. We were not so numerous in the room in Amsterdam, I remember. In 2023, it was the year of perseverance, facing some troubles on our journey. 2024 was the year of growth. We were 3 key operators in the foundation. And then 2025, that's the year of execution, the year to deliver now. Why? Because after laying strong foundation for Purple, after building a strong community, and you're the living proof of that, after proving the concepts, it's time for us to shift to become a powerful engine behind the Purple deliveries. This is why, to support this pivot turning point, we decided in May, together with Verizon and AT&T, to join our forces in an executive council with 2 main ambitions. The first one is to be able to support and steer the operational model that will enable us to deliver the roadmap with confidence and efficiency. The second ambition is to shape a sustainable foundation to be able to unleash in the long run value for the whole industrial ecosystem. So to discuss this, I'm delighted to welcome 3 representatives of this Executive Council. So I will call Chris Schmidt from Verizon, AVP Consumer Technology Product Development, and also Platinum Board Member of the Purple Foundation. Please, Chris. I will call Jason Savard from AT&T, AVP Product Development Engineering from AT&T, and also Platinum Board Member of the Foundation. And Koen Vermeulen, SVP Services and CIO Group from Orange. So together we will discuss where we stand and what's ahead and why collaboration and standard will shape the future of our industry. So to start with, I would like Chris to ask you from your perspective, how has Purple evolved in the past years and what concrete progress have you seen so far?
Yeah, thanks. And by the way, this is my first time attending the Purple Summit, so I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far, from the demos downstairs to, all the excited participants. So thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. So as far as what we've seen, we've been members of Purple since about 2020, and so this idea of developing this operating system for carriers and the different use cases that we have that are challenging, we've seen that to where we are today. And where we are today is, I think we're a mature organization that generates very robust software releases. And there's some proof points to that. And the big proof points I see, and Dave touched on a lot of them, but we're up to 4 releases a year, or quarterly releases, 2 major and 2 minor. We've got 3 reference designs with several more in the queue. So that's another point. We've got a robust certification program that was released this year, and we've also got the other companies using some of our open source software, which is good. I mean, imitation is the best form of flattery. So those are all very good things, and those are all concrete proof points that Purple is actually in the space of becoming a mature organization.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Another question for you. Let's talk, if you agree, about delivery and where you are at Verizon, and what do you think of the key operational challenges we face for Purple, and how Verizon is contributing to help solving them?
Yeah, so I'll start with the challenges. So at Verizon, when we develop a router, it's a big integration effort. And so you start with kind of your hardware platform with the manufacturers and the SoC chipset vendors, and then you have software partners as well that help with that. And then within Verizon, we've got our own provisioning systems and diagnostic systems that have to be integrated. And then there's another dimension to integration as well, and that involves other potential devices that are in a customer's home, whether it's an extender or a set-top box for video customers. So this is a multi-dimensional, very, very large integration program. And so, you know, some of the things we're doing to help that process is, first, you know, we're a funding member of prpl, so we help to get the base software system with our colleagues here out. But then kind of gathering some of these companies together to integrate through these big challenges that we particularly have. And you know, we have the ability to bring a lot of these companies into a room and work through some of these integration challenges. And so that leads to where are we? And Dave touched on it, but we have a limited commercial deployment with a full stack, you know, full prpl operating system that's gone out, and that sets kind of the platform or the basis to kind of platform going forward. So we've got roughly about 10 million devices that are prpl upgradable, and we expect to have those upgraded to prpl by the end of next year.
Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Koen, we've said that 2025, that's the execution year. What does execution delivery mean to you in the context of prpl?
Good morning, everybody. So delivery and production is the only thing that matters. It's the final test of all the rest is hypothesis. As long as you're in a project, it's a bunch of hypotheses, and the only proof that you have whether things are working or not is production. So it's absolutely key. And we are in, and Chris mentioned it too, in a very complex ecosystem. So where we have different players to make that end-to-end customer promise a reality. So you have chipset vendors, we have manufacturers, we have integrators, we have the operators themselves who have, in many cases, a lot of integration work to do. So once we get into that phase where before we were in a project mode where we were defining ourselves what the needs are, we will have a lot of feedback loops coming from the field, coming from the customers. What looked as a good idea on paper wasn't maybe that working in reality, or is maybe not that compliant with some of the underlying hardware components, whatever. So that feedback loop, how to integrate that feedback loop in a very efficient way into the foundation, back and forth, I think it's going to be a major change in the way the foundation and the whole ecosystem operates. And I think the most important one is what Chris said before, is that whole agile cycle that we'll need to get into. So delivering features, it's a whole promise of prpl too, is making sure that we can innovate fast, that we can deliver new features. So that whole release cycle, adding features, reacting quickly to what customers tell us, what customers need, what feedback is of integrators, what feedback is of chipset vendors, that gets integrated into the foundation as much as possible to accelerate all together, because in the end, that's what it's about. So to me, it's that's absolutely key, that change, and that will happen, and it's happening, that change in we would say, a more top-down project approach, where you say, okay, we think in a small committee this is a good idea, into where now thousands and millions of boxes will be out there in the field, and we will be having feedback one way or another from them, and we need to integrate that to make that software absolutely robust and future-proof for our customers and for the operators.
Let's deep dive on delivery. Koen, can you tell a little bit more on the deliveries at Orange and the deployments at Orange?
Well, yeah, sure. So if you look at the deliveries we've done, and Mike mentioned a few on the slide before, we have a lot of them. So we have, as you know, we're operating in many countries. The first one we did, and it's the first, I think it's even the world premiere, is in Jordan, where we had the first time a gateway with the repeaters live in February, something like that, I think, Q1 2025. So we are live in Jordan. We also have some go-lives arriving very soon in Morocco. And as, of course, this question was completely a surprise, I have a surprise for you. I'll show you a surprise. This is our first box that will go live in Morocco. It's so it will be live at the end of this year. That's right.
It's in test, yes.
It's in test. So it's in
in
test today.
yeah.
Yeah. So it will be in production already in test. And it will have also some value-added services running on that. So I forgot to mention the first box in Jordan was a cooperation between, and now I have to make sure I don't make any mistakes, but it was with Nokia, MediaTek, and Soft at Home, who did the first box in Jordan. This one is ZTE and MediaTek 2A, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. And we'll have a lot of other production and projects ongoing. So we have in Eastern Europe, Romania and Moldova, who will be live with also their new boxes, Wi-Fi 7. And then we have an important fresh decision we made a couple of weeks ago about the migration also of towards Purple in France, which is obviously our biggest footprint. So that's a very important step forward into fully going into Purple. So we are in production. We have the first feedback. We know what's working. We know what's not working well. We're fine tuning. And we're fully in, so it's really the year of the scaling that will happen in the coming months.
Exactly. Thank you, Koen. Now, Jason, AT&T is actively supporting the foundation in its transition towards a more agile way of working, drawing on your own real-life experience at AT&T. Could you share how you apply agile methodology to your own purpose strategy at AT&T, and also what is your vision on the positive impact agile can bring to the Purple Foundation?
Sure, thank you. Agile for us has always been kind of maximizing your capacity. And so we used to do the waterfall method, very similar to how Purple does today. And we would have a bunch of software delivered on a particular date. And it would take us forever to go through and review the software, to test it, to do the design, validate the design. And then if you had any tweaks or defects or any of that, it would extend the deployment period for, a significant amount of time. So when we moved to Agile, it allowed us to define a clear capacity. We know how many features, how many bug fixes, based on the resources that we have. And that's one of the big differences between the way we used to do it and how we do it. And I think that's one of the advantages that we can get from the Purple Foundation as well. Being able to understand that, hey, this is with the engineering resources, with the architecture resources, with the testing, this is how many reference platforms we can support with our current headcount or partners, and be able to manage that through the process, and understanding if I add another reference platform, this is the impact from a capacity perspective, right? And so for us, we kind of do the same thing, where as we go along and do the development, we understand from a testing, et cetera. And so I think from the other piece from a Purple benefit is the deliveries by sprint, breaking up the deliveries so that you have pre-scheduled, hey, these are the features that I'm expecting in each of the delivery sprints. That also allows us to get an idea of how the development is going, right? Today, sometimes we wait until the end of the delivery, the freeze date, The software's not there. We didn't have any idea that it wasn't going to be there. And so the goal is that if we have clear deliverables on a sprint, me as an operator can take that when it's delivered and start to develop. If there's any issues with the way it was implemented, with a defect, we can also work through that and potentially get it fixed before the end of the development cycle.
Thank you, Chris. We've been talking a lot about Agile, but standards and open source are also crucial pillars for the foundation. Chris, can you tell us why open source and standardization are very important to the Verizon strategy in Purple, and how do you see that within the Purple Foundation?
Okay. Yeah, so, some of the benefits that you get with open source, there's several, but I'd start with a common experience. When you deploy common code, most people are going to pick up that code and implement it as is. So you get this common experience across different implementations, whether it's operators or manufacturers. So that's a big piece. And then, at Purple, we not only specify APIs, but we test to them as well. And so that allows more a broader ecosystem of people to kind of join the party, so to speak, or join Purple and be able to collaborate quite quickly. And then with open source as well, there's a level of transparency so that people can see what's, if they're adept in software, they can see what's been implemented, they can check for any potential security or privacy concerns. So that's a big plus for us as well. And finally, and possibly the most important piece is scale. So when you deploy open source software and it goes out the field, you're undoubtedly going to find issues. Those issues will get fixed. They will find optimizations. Those optimizations will be implemented, and they'll go back into the software base. And then that software base will get more and more robust. So as you get more and more deployments, this cycle goes on and snowballs in a good way, and it will very quickly make the entire software platform harden. So that's quite desirable to Verizon to be part of an organization where we're starting to see that, and it's only going to grow from that perspective.
Thank you, Chris. Another important aspect that we want to reach at the Purple Foundation is the platforming approach, the platforming effects. Koen, can you tell us a bit more about what you believe platforming approach is going to bring through the Purple Foundation to the whole industrial ecosystem?
Well, platforming, it's all about scale. So it's good that maybe next year we'll have to rent a bigger room. So that would be good, because it's all about scale. Because it's scale allows us to innovate faster, and that's the whole idea about it. Well, it allows us to reduce our cost first, but it also allows us to innovate faster. And what Jason said about the agility, I think it's absolutely key, because speed and bringing new features to our customers, new features, generating new revenue is absolutely the key reason for having that common platform, that common approach that we have all together, because it allows us to go faster, to replicate what is existing, what is working before, and in the end bring innovation much faster to our customers in a much shorter cycles, as we do on traditional, if I may say so, IT. We should really have that same cycle, that same platforming approach, where we have different in an ecosystem, a large ecosystem of suppliers who can bring, who can benefit from that platform to bring their services also to millions and millions of households, to deploy their services, also get part of the revenue from that, as the operators do. So I think that's absolutely key, and it's all about bringing innovation faster to our customers, generating more top line and reducing our cost, because we have economies of scale and we don't redo over and over and over again the same integration with the same components all over the world.
Thank you, Koen. Let's deep dive on innovation and open innovation especially. Jason, can you tell us why open innovation as fostered by Purple is so important for AT&T today?
Yeah, as we go along and continue to optimize our costs and spend for CPE and various features. I see, a big advantage of being able to create some of the building blocks for these innovative applications within Purple, right? The basic functionality. And I kind of look at it like a menu, where if you look at it and you have all these building blocks, AT&T may decide to create a service very similar to Verizon and Orange. We may make it slightly different, add a feature here and remove one there, or we may take something and add our own special sauce to make it AT&T specific. But that being said, I don't have to do all the work like I've had to do historically, right? We are doing a pretty good job at Purple at integrating and looking at, the new technologies that are coming in, implementing those in a manner that is very easy to integrate from an overall software perspective. And if you want to look out maybe a little bit farther, being able to create an interface or an easy way for us to plug in our own AI type models, not necessarily providing the model itself, but providing the hooks into the various chipsets, from a standardized Purple perspective. So I may not have to do it differently on one chipset versus another. And stretch goal, if we ever get there, to have a place where you could send anonymized data and train these models for all of the Purple members so that we, get back something that is better than we could have done by ourselves.
Thank you, Jason. Maybe you have a last message to the vendors and partners here about engaging with Purple now?
Yeah, I think right now is a great time. We've got to the point where we're almost complete from an MVP perspective. You're going to see large-scale deployments in the coming year. And there's opportunities for carriers to still have a big say in where Purple is going, right? So right now is the right time to get engaged, participate, contribute, right? The best part of an open source environment is being able to, take those free contributions and make them valuable. AT&T does it because I can contribute it once and then the Purple Foundation maintains it and going forward. So even though maybe it's a little bit cost and work up front, it isn't, I save overall from a time perspective, so.
Thank you, Jason. I thank you very much to each of you. So I think the message is very clear. We are pivoting from vision to delivery and execution. The challenges are quite significant, but the progress we've made last years are proofs that we can succeed. So open source, platforming, standardization are not buzzwords here, but pillars that we build upon. So let's continue to build on these pillars and deliver with determination. And I thank you very much for your attention.